and then have to see, to experience what we've been.
Never had a black president ever in life, right? And then Obama becomes, he gets elected.
Friends stand with me. I don't even have to have that tough conversation. And
husband is black, his life matters.
That's right.
And so I don't want to live in fear to be the change that we want to see.
I want to add something to that.
Healing from it, but so I'm excited. And today we're going to talk a little bit about healthy relationships and our love language. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm excited about it because my love language changed from I think it was 8 years ago. I took this love language test. And my love language then was very opposite things. It was kind of flipped. And I'm like, you know what? As we grow, our love languages change. My needs became different. And so I say, let's talk about that a little bit. What y'all think? Love language. So I took the test. Did you guys take the test?
I did.
Did you take it?
It's been a while.
But just from talking to you, can kind of know what your love language is. So there's 5 love languages, and one is the words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And 7 years ago, my love language was quality time and physical touch. And so today, my highest ranking was one was acts of service. And I was like, but then when I'm looking at my life, I'm like, that's me. That's all day, because that's what I give. And so I guess that's what I, need back. And the other one was words of affirmation. The third one was quality time. And then 4th was physical touch. And then 5 was receiving gifts. And I was like, it may be my love language, those few tops, but all of it plays an important role in relationship. Every one of those things play an important role in a relationship. But it was crazy when I took that test. It was like, mine have absolutely changed. And mind you, I was 40 when maybe 30 something when I took it. So maybe over 10 years ago. At 51, I don't need 20 gifts. just do what I ask. No.
Just do what I asked you to do.
You can give them to me, but do what I ask you to do. And it's like, I thought the gifts, but then I noticed on Christmas and stuff, I'm like, oh, we can wait. For Valentine's, I said, hey babe, why don't we do our Valentine's in March?
Okay.
Right? And he was like, that's her. She'll put off the gift. Before it was like, what you get? What I have a list of things. I want this perfume, this pick from it. Please don't put no roses on the bed that I got to clean up, none of it. And I told you what to expect for Christmas, and I noticed over some years I've come away from that. And I'm like, you know what, can you help me do this? That's fine, you don't have to worry about the gift today. Don't forget my gift. Just don't worry about it today. So when they did that, I was like, yeah, that's true. And I'm always affirming people with words, I guess, because of my profession. And that's important to me. Where before, I guess it just was not, like I said, it flip-flopped. So
Mine is physical touch. So I'm a hopeless romantic. Right? And then mine's also, my second one is words of affirmation. Gifts is actually down at the very bottom. And service and quality time is kind of in the middle. So physical touch, hugs. We come from a family where we hug and we love on each other and we kiss and we hold hands. So I think that has always been my top one. So it just that hasn't changed. The other ones, I'm like, oh, I don't really care about gifts, but my husband's a gift giver and I appreciate it. And I thank him for that. You know what I mean? So, but I think it's important that each partner know what their love language is, so that way the other partner can feed that in that time of need. Because sometimes it can be very frustrating if a person does not know. Yeah. And say, oh, okay. So,
what our needs are.
Yeah.
We all have needs.
Yeah. I did not take the test. Don't know anything about the test. I can say that. Is that okay? Is that okay to say? I don't know.
It's okay.
Yes, absolutely. I've been married in April 36 years.
That's
Woo, that's good.
So we have this language, right? And so, I don't know, I think maybe my husband and I, maybe we could take it just, just for fun, just to see what it says. And all of the things that you all mentioned are all the things that I like. I like words of affirmation, I like getting the gifts, and I like touching. And what was the other one? Quality time. Yeah, we do. We spend a lot of, we're always together, and there are those times that I do need my space, but it's not often. I can just say that. So I really appreciate his company. So we like being together. And so I think that I like it all, and everything just has its balance. And when it comes to gifts, it's like, let's just go and get what you want, and I'll get what I want. And so it's just, it can be like that. So I think we've got a real good thing going here. And so I know that they may be together right now, and they really don't like each other much, and they argue and they bicker, but it's like they've been in it so long, they don't see any sense in parting. And so one of the things, recently, when we had this huge storm and all, I'm like, I was cool being shut in with somebody that I like.
Yeah.
And so we stayed in and just did our thing. So I mean, it's cool. So
can I interject really fast?
Yeah.
I think too, like communication. You don't need this if you have communication.
Yeah.
Right.
You know how to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think this right here allows people to say, okay, well, let me see what you are, especially if they have problems communicating with each other and opening up and sharing. That way you can just give somebody, hey, you're right here.
Yeah.
And then they can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you still have to, I think communication is the key.
Yes. And having a hard conversation too.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like you're not being touched enough, then you can say that.
Touch me, yeah.
You
don't give me nothing. I need a gift.
Right,
yes.
Okay, but and in the afternoon, and at night too, and in the car.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
So, it's just really, so those things that may be difficult to say, I think it's just so important with your partner that you be able to express that at some point. Strike up the courage to say how you really feel. If you feel like you're not affirmed enough, then you need to be able to express that. And I think timing has a lot to do with it. You don't want to talk about you don't affirm me and you're in the heat of an argument.
Yeah, sure. What are you talking about? You're doing great.
Do I? Okay. You don't look too bad yourself. So I think timing is really important. So when you do have those tough conversations, and we just decided that we were in for the long haul. For an eternity. And so when we really decided that at the very beginning, we knew that whatever it was, we had to work it out, and we had to do it quickly because we didn't want to spend time being on the outs with one another for 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, that's just this energy. I could be doing something else.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I love your relationship. I love what I see of your relationship. I love to see when the kids come around. You have such a cohesive looking space that you share, and I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Me, on the other hand, I am single, and I'm okay with being single for right now. But my love languages, so I've taken the love language test like several times, and my languages, my top 2 are always the same. They just kind of fluctuate.
Yes.
Acts of service, words of affirmation. Those are my top 2. I know.
You so much like okay.
It is, and when you said yours, I was like, oh, yep. Gifts for me is at the very bottom. It's at the very bottom. Quality time, physical touch. So physical touch is under, is the third one, and then quality time, and then gifts. I think that for me, words of affirmation and acts of service, they kind of go hand in hand. Like, I feel like you don't have one without the other. Growing up as a little girl, that was something that I think the words of affirmation was something that was missing, you know, and so that maybe sort of took shape, took form. Acts of service, it's just natural. It's just like, I'm a person who does. I'm a counselor. I think I've always been that person. And then it also feels good when I know that there are people that I can rely on.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It should not be a one-sided thing.
Right.
Even if your love languages are not the same,
Right.
you still can share each other's love languages. Coming from the single person, I know a little bit, y'all. But I you know, I am a divorcee, and so me and my ex-husband, we have a really good relationship, and there is that balance there. So like, he is the quality time person, and I because we have a really good relationship, we are friends, we are raising a child who will be 18 on Saturday. Okay, that was
Happy
more.
birthday.
Happy birthday, son. I
Happy
love
birthday.
you. We all love you. Just get your life. But no.
Like, Mom, you stopping me up, I'm gonna get you.
But no, so we, you know, we find that balance and we learn how to complement each other. So if I know that he is a person who enjoys quality time or what have you, and I know, you know, now we are ex, but I'm talking about when we were married, and I knew that that was something that he needed. For me, please, like you said, just do what I ask you to do. So we done spent some time together. Then you gonna go do.
You know what I did? My husband is quality time, and so I put him on my calendar.
I like it.
And I put my mom on my calendar because I know that one of her love languages is, because it's not just for husband and wife, it's really all your healthy relationships.
Yeah.
And so when you go by my desk in my office, right there you see on Fridays half day with husband and Saturdays hubby day. And I had to do that because one day he was just like, "You're always with the kids. You're always in the office." I used to be really clinky though. I don't know if 50 did it. I don't know if menopause. I don't know what happened. Don't touch me. You're touching me. No, just, and I had to get over it. Like, he is physical touch, quality time. And I'm just sitting here like, it's okay if we just sit and watch a movie. You can sit over, and that's not me. I am in love with my husband. I love everything. I walk around 9 words of affirmation. So I'll be like, baby. I'll say something like that to him, and you know, he'll be sitting in the room like, "Babe, you coming to bed?" So he quit saying it. And one time we got her, and he was like, "Babe, you're always out with the kids." And guess what happened the next day? I was still out with the kids. I said, "Athena," it wasn't even that. The Holy Spirit, I'm gonna get deep, but the Holy Spirit said, "Go in there and get with your husband." Then he had me shut off life at 10 o'clock, and so I started to go be in the room with my husband. So I mean, just that give and take, so we can continue to have this healthy relationship.
Yes.
And when he saw me take those steps, it meant everything to him.
He took
Like,
notice of
he
it.
took notice of it. Like,
That's
she's here every night. She didn't come to bed till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because my office quiet time is that time. My writing time is quiet. My house is busy. We live together as a family.
Yeah.
And with grandkids are available in my house, and my adult children are available, and we love it. But my quiet time is at night, and I had to shut up. The Lord was really the Lord, like, because I can't think what He's thinking. So obviously He was thinking something. He told me to get up and go in the room with me. So to build that healthy relationship, I had to come out of myself, because we've been together for 14 years, and so we went through all of these stages.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, now I'm at a time where he is important. Morris is very important to me, and my kids are grown. There's no reason why I don't spend the time with him. But then he's gone a lot. So I had to get used to him being gone. Like, at first he was gone all the time, then he came home, and he was home all the time. And I was like,
As you guys are talking, I'm sitting here reflecting and laughing at myself because I'm like, in there,
Yeah.
I'm there.
But you got
in
something
there.
to do.
No, I'm serious. Yeah, no. I mean, there was a time when I'd wake up because I'm always waking up earlier than my husband, and I would lay in the bed until my husband got in the bed. And so we started our day together.
Mhm.
And so I was like,
Okay,
okay, that's just too much.
Yeah.
That's just
And one day you
too
like,
much for me.
all right.
I'm like, that's just too much for me. You know, but I do. No, I'm serious though, but that's how I used to maneuver.
Mhm.
Now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get up and do my thing, and you're gonna do your thing. But I know at night, because he's pretty routine. At night, then I know at a certain time you go to bed, I'm gonna make sure that I'm in a room, make sure, you know what I mean? It's just things that they like. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna take heed to that, and it's quality time for him. So.
But you know, I think that's a love language in and of itself. The fact that you're willing to recognize, and then
What
you're
they
willing not only recognize, but then to put forth the time and the
Right.
energy
Yeah.
to adhere to or to give what it is that you know that your spouse, your partner, or whoever needs.
You know, with me, the give and take part, like you were saying, you know, this is what they like, and so well, let me just speak for myself. Even if it's something like initially, I'm like, okay, let me do this because this is what he likes, then I begin to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so that's what
Yeah.
makes the difference, and it doesn't become a laborious thing. It's, you know, I get to do this. I don't have to
You
do
don't
this.
have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I get to do it, and that's how we just kind of like set things up. So things that I like that he may not, really been into, and then like he just kind of like gets into it because he throws himself into it because he knows that I like it, and so I throw myself into things because I know that he likes it, and then we begin to enjoy it, and it just kind of things just happen, and that's how we kind of grow. I've been through those stages of like, don't touch me, it's like I'm hot, don't touch me. I'm feeling a little irritable. I'm swollen or whatever, it's like, and I was always like, so I didn't really have to say, don't touch me. Now I say just be messing with him, but and so we went through that stage too, and then he loved me through that stage.
My husband is
And
loving
he gave me that, and he loved me through that stage, and so that's one of the things that we've just unspokenly decided to do, and that is love each other through our stages.
That's good.
But you had to communicate that.
Yeah.
You know what
Well,
I mean?
I don't know if we really just sat down and said. Well, I will say this because of our age difference. When we were talking about getting married, he said, my only thing, he said, you're so much younger than I am. I just feel like I'm going to get older and you're not going to want me anymore. I said, well, as you get older, I get older. And so I said, so we'll just go through those stages together. And that's all that was said about it. But because it was in the atmosphere, in our heart to do, that's what we did.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Yeah. I have this
So I love him, at every stage. And I believe that he's loved me through every stage, and that's what's up.
I have this thing of going through things in silence. And so my husband said, he said, you're going through menopause.
That does not sound silent.
You thought it was silent. It was screaming to him.
He said, man. And I didn't know that he had taken the time to read up on it and find out, because he knows I'm not that irritable. He knows I'm not that
He
evil.
done sent the man to the internet to find out what's wrong
He
with his
did,
wife.
because listen, he was like, she likes to, I can't sleep without him touching me. Just give me your foot. And one night I kicked his foot, like, stop touching me, please. And he was like, baby. He was like, you made me feel like I wanted to get and that's not me. I'm the most huggy, sweetie, until the inner fire. So one day he felt the inner fire show up, and he saw me pour and sweat. And you know what I loved about it? He took 5 minutes to understand it. He said, babe, how does that feel? He said, because I'm hot with you over here. And I just sat in the bed like, I hate this. I said, God, you said speak those things, and I done spoke it. So we just go through menopause, Like, and I found out too some of the things I was eating and the hormone things that would change my hormone because my husband brought it to my attention. The fast has helped. So it's obviously something is I'm eating that that I'm not eating now that I was eating then. And so I have to find out what that is. And then the more she took away from our fast, the more I'm not having these hot flashes. So there's something that brings them more. What I love though is that he just knows I suffer in silence. And I have to stop that. But he said menopause and I cried. Nobody wants to know my husband because like I'm the opposite of Pastor Mary. My husband is much younger. He's so fit, you know, and he just walks around and I'll be like, Lord have mercy, Jesus, oh my Lord. And here I am with a hot flash. All of me have been turned off for a moment. Mom said, oh, it comes back. I'm like, I hope so, because I love my husband. I mean, you know, but he's like you say, he's loving me through it. And he's like, okay, here's some foods I think you should not eat anymore. I think these are really bothering me. And you're irritated all the time. And I'm not that person. I thought I had the patience. So people say, you have the patience of Job. Not that day. It was like, didn't I tell you to go over? I'm slinging stuff like, get over there and get that thing. How many times? They're like, mommy, but we grown now. Like, oh, okay, y'all leave.
And she talks about it. I'm like, can you please let it bypass me, Lord?
Look,
I was thinking
Do I
the
gotta
same
put
thing, like,
a
okay.
red ribbon around my neck or on my finger, on my wrist?
Just
Please let it go by me.
It doesn't have to be that bad. I tell you, it does not. So, yeah, and again, you know, checking your diet and different things like that, and paying attention to your body so that you can identify what's happening while it's happening, when it's getting ready to happen. So I still have, you know, I get hot and sweaty, you know, sometimes, but it never rules me in any kind of way. It doesn't make me want to take my jacket off and start. Have you all ever seen me do that?
No.
Now you may have seen me preaching with sweat pouring down everywhere, and I just keep on going. I've seen a woman in the pulpit. She stopped preaching. I'm having a hot flash. I'm like, oh Jesus. So I'm like, don't do that. But anyway, so it's a matter of knowing that there are remedies, there are things you can do, and you know, again, if God can heal those hard things, He can heal that too. So you don't have to have that. So I just speak to you two ladies to say you don't have to have it. You just identify what's going on, what happens, because there are some of those times, you know. Some people, they don't even have hot flashes. They don't deal with that at all. They don't deal with the emotional imbalance and stuff like that. So I had it bad enough with PMS that my husband thought I hated him. And when he told me that is what really made me go to God with that, because I had it really bad ever since I was a child. I mean, so I was married and still having temper tantrums, you know, throwing stuff, tearing up stuff. He's like, I'm like, it's my stuff to tear up.
Yeah. And don't even
so don't worry about it. You didn't pay for it. So, you know, stuff like that. He's like, good night, what in the world, you know? So yeah, it was real. And so when he told me, he said, you know, he said, I just feel like you hate me. I was like, wow. And we had the conversation, it was at a calm time, and I said, Lord, I never want my husband to think that I hate him.
Yeah. Yeah.
By no means, never, ever. So, you know, and so when I told him how he noticed the change, he's like, boy, I wish you'd have prayed that prayer a long time ago.
Like, Lord, I
know to pray it. So,
you know what we do in my marriage that we do like wellness checks, and we really sit down and I'll be like, hey, babe, so you know, how are you liking me as a wife? Or, you know, how am I doing at this? And I love it when he say, you are doing really good. There were times where he like, you know, who taught you how to do this thing? And we've been together for so long. Life is a different story. I don't care how long you've been together. That option to walk away is different. Not that I wanted to, but just takes a different level. And so I asked him, and I love it, those words of affirmation.
Mhm.
And when he says, you are doing a wonderful job, I would like to see. And I'm like, okay. And as far as the communication, I didn't understand. I told my daughters the other day, and I'm gonna say black people, because today I see it everywhere. But we have to learn to communicate. I wasn't taught to communicate with a boyfriend or a husband because my mother was a single mother, and her devotion to God and her family just didn't have room. Today she'll tell you, just didn't have room for a husband, and she's so dominant, kind of. So I came in kind of dominant. I had this false humble though, like I would get you. You know, I was, then I just took that wrong PMS day, like, you hate me. But I had to learn how to communicate, and then my husband didn't come from a place of communication either. So I had to kind of be that one that initiated the communication. And what I loved about my husband, he's younger than me. I've always said to people older than me, so he's younger than me. And I was surprised how well I could come to him and be like, you know, honey, I don't like it when you do this. And him not bite my head off. And I think I fell in love with him for him doing that to me. And I know he didn't have all of that, you know, but he would be like, well, the reason I do that is because I think da-da-da-da-da. And I think sometimes you don't listen. And I did, you know. And I was like, okay, I'm going to work on that. Sometimes I didn't right away work on it, but we did work on it. But he would tell me, you know, and I love, like you said, the communication between us have grown because he was willing to hear me. And for a long time, I never thought people listened to me until him. And I saw like I screaming and hollering, like, you don't hear me, you know. And for him, it's like we do not scream and holler at each other. We very seldom argue, and we really do sit down and have those one-on-one. He was in the snow the other day, and he's just, because he's from Michigan, snow means nothing to him. And I'm calling him like, where's my husband? And he went to my daughter's house to drop off something for something. Start playing the game. And I'm calling everybody. Like, have you seen, I don't know how I didn't call my daughter's house. Like, have you seen my husband? Like, no, is he okay? Well, let me call here, I said, Holy Spirit, this is crazy because she didn't, okay. Holy Spirit, have my husband call me. Come on. So I was on the phone with my sister, his sister, and I said it on the phone with her. And he called. She was like, y'all are crazy. Like, and he called, and I said, where are you? He's like, I'm at your daughter's house. And I said, you cannot do that to me. Ever. Don't you do this to me. Don't you be a... He was like, baby, I'm just around. It don't matter.
Scared.
Where was your phone? Like, and like, I'm not worried about he was anywhere else.
Right.
But what if it was snowing crazy, the ice was crazy, did you lose your phone?
Yeah.
You know, and he came and he said, babe, I have to be more considerate when I leave. Did you see how he heard me? I think that is so sweet.
Yes.
Like, I had to tracker. Yeah, I had to track mine off because my tracker was doing so. She said, I have a tracker. Like, where you at?
Just tune in real quick. Where you at?
Where is he? Yeah, I think we're going back that direction.
So, you know, but
We're gonna have to, because I need to
with the
know.
tracker, it's just for safety.
For safety.
I'm not tripping like that. Let me say this about affirmation. You know, you were talking about affirmation that you didn't get, you know, as a child, and I don't feel like I was affirmed as a child, and so it doesn't really matter that much to me now. And that's why you all hear me say, you know, well, people think what they think, and you know, because I just don't really need that affirmation. But he is very affirmative. He's very affirming with me, and I am with him. I guess I may not be as affirming because of my background, how I grew up, but it doesn't cause a void. So that's the good part. You know, so, and I know when and how to, you know, make sure that I'm communicating that I appreciate him. And he does the same with me, that he appreciates me. And I don't know, it just works. And I think he taught me more how to be affirming. Since I didn't kind of like grow up in that environment, I'm like, oh, okay, he says nice things. I guess I can say something nice to him. And so, you know, and we kind of like taught each other what's important to us. and just kind of, meet each other, at that place, and then, and then there may be something that's like, well, I'm not going to do that. They're like, I'm like, never going to do that. You cool with that? Because I'm just like, never going to do that like that. I'm not, that's just not, when I'm just not, oh, okay, can you live without that? I'm not doing that, so it's just that understanding, so we don't really have to have those type of conversations much anymore, but yeah.
But I think that's part of the healthy side of the relationship is when you can learn from each other, when you can receive from each other, when one person can say, hey, well, this is something that I don't want, or this is something that I don't like, and then the other person not get defensive or not want to, go back and forth about it. So I think that's part of a good, healthy relationship.
Yeah. And it's good to have relationships that are healthy and well balanced.
Yes.
Well balanced, and so this, and what someone else may perceive as healthy doesn't work in your, in your environment and in your makeup and in your relationship. So you can't really judge, like, why are they together all the time? There's no way in the world I can be with my husband all the time, right? Well, that's you. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. And like I said, there are those times it's like I say, I need to get away from him.
Yeah, I need
So
some time.
he's like, well, I'm going so well. I was going to ride with you. And that's okay.
Yeah.
He knows. Okay,
She needs her space.
She needs her space. Then there are those times, he's like, he doesn't even tell me till he's like getting ready to go. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, go ahead. All right, I'll see you when you get back. That's not cute. Like, ma'am, he wants to be away from you.
So my husband just went on a 9-day trip, and he had left that morning, and I said, wait a minute, how long are you going to be gone? How many days? He was like, 9 days. I was like, no. And usually it doesn't really bother me. And I'm like, wait, 9 days, so 4 days, and I'm like, how many more days we got? I mean, because like, come on, for real?
Yeah.
So then he's coming back tonight. So then yesterday he goes, what about me coming home? I mean, I was like, oh, you coming home already? He was like, these women, they're calling their husbands, oh, you get home, and you're talking. I said, no, I mean, like, no, yeah, okay, well, come on. I want to come home. At first it started out like, I miss, and then now it's time for come home. I'm like, oh, you can, yeah, all right, yeah, I want you to come back home, but I really do miss him.
Yeah.
It's just what works for one person doesn't work for another person.
So, talking about healthy communication or communication is really important. Healthy communication is important. Knowing how to respond and know when to respond and when to have those conversations. Like you said, we don't want to be trying to affirm each other and we in an argument. But also having some type of protocol for our arguments. And not holding things in all the time. Like I said, I can suffer in silence. And I think as I've grown, silence is just not so silent anymore. It's like I have to say something, and learning how to say it was important. And being older than my husband, knowing that I don't know everything just because I'm older than him, and not to play mommy role. You understand what I'm trying to say? So we went through this thing, but like you said, communication is very important. And,
it is.
In our relationships.
I think that being able to communicate with your spouse, your loved one, is you have to be able to say how you feel about whatever. If it makes you feel good, say it. If it doesn't make you feel so good, to be able to say it, and then your the person that you're in relationship with, they hear you. That's the thing. Otherwise, it's like a lopsided relationship. And so I'm not talking about just complain. I'm talking about really communicating those things that really matter in the relationship. Those things that helps it grow and helps it flourish. I know over the last 35 years, I've grown so much in so many different ways. And in all of those, there are parts of me that I didn't even know were there, so I had to be able to if he didn't pick up on it, I had to be able to communicate that, and the same vice versa. If I don't pick up on it, then he needs to say something, and if he doesn't say anything, then I don't know. And then I don't want to find out in an argument.
Exactly.
I don't want to find out, at a point of lowness, like, oh my goodness, So it's just really important to a relationship to be able to say how you feel without the other person making you feel some kind of way. Making you feel like you're just argumentative, or making you feel like, every time I turn around, or, whatever, or like how I feel is stupid.
That's that defensiveness that can pop up. It's really important for us to recognize that there's going to be times where we hear things we don't want to hear.
Exactly.
There's going to be times where our spouse, partner, loved one says things to us that we may disagree with. But it doesn't mean that we're a horrible person.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it's an assassination of character. Maybe sometimes it is, but even sometimes maybe. But even in a sense like that, knowing how not to fall into that going back and forth, right? Being able to say, you know what, I want to sit, I want to listen to you, I want to hear what your concerns are, what your issues are with me, and then being able to use like I statements, like, well, I think, I feel, instead of you, right? Because when you're pointing the finger, or when you're using those you words, that automatically puts a person, or can put a person, in the feeling of defense, right? So now I have to defend myself because it's you this, you that. Okay, but maybe I have some blame or some fault in this, but are you going to take responsibility or accountability for yours? Let me be accountable for mine, or at least give me the opportunity. Don't you, assassination of character. So it's important to, when you're in relationships, to know that just as you want to be able to give and share what you feel and what you think, you have to be willing to sit and listen and receive what the other person feels and thinks.
Because listening is a huge part of communication.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, for sure. It's listening and talking, and so having a conversation is about one talks, one listens. One talks, one listens. One talks, one listens. It's not an argument. And a lot of people don't know how to communicate effectively. And they think that arguing is, okay, you can argue to a point, but allow that not to be the basis of your communication, of your conversation. So I agree with all of you guys. And fighting fair. Please, fight fair. That is another thing. Learn how to fight fair. If you don't know how to, learn it. Because it's really important, because assassination of character does come into play.
Yeah, it does.
So.
It does.
So, relationship coach.
Coach
us. Give us a parting word. Coach us in relationships. Give us a good coaching. Coach Athena.
I'm realizing more and more when I start dealing with the dysfunctional stuff that I grew up with, and intentionally start dealing with some stuff, laying, like you said in one of your books, laying aside the baggage of dysfunctional communication. I wanted my marriage to work. I want my relationships to work outside of my marriage. I had to learn how to communicate. And today I just want to encourage people, if you don't know how to communicate, but don't let pride keep you from learning.
Oh, that is so good.
Find out if the way you communicate is even healthy. Did I take on my mother's communication style?
Oh my.
Is yelling really effective? Is being accusatory effective? What should I own in this? Ask for the wisdom. Men and women are two different made up folks,
Right.
two different genetics, and finding the right time. And we can do that early. You don't have to be 50 when you learn it.
Right.
And I find myself passing it down to my children. When they come to me and Mom, I'm like, well, what if we tried this? What if we tried that? So really being intentional about making your relationships work and making them healthy. And healthy relationships comes from healthy people.
Yes.
And so it's important that we take the time to become that healthy person, so that we can have those healthy relationships.
Yes.
So it takes some work. It takes some work sometimes to let go of old stuff. I love it. Pastor, you said you said something to me before that changed the whole trajectory of my marriage. because we got married after so many years. So trust, there was some baggage. And I was like, there's some baggage. And she said, oh, love him on purpose. Love him anyway.
Yeah.
Let the baggage go.
Yeah.
And you know, I stood in tears with her, but I went in tears with God. I wanted my marriage to work. And I had to hear that. Love him in spite of. Love him in spite of. And guess what? I have chosen to love him
There you go.
on
Such
purpose,
choice.
flaws, and all, and stop making his flaws everything. Oh, he doesn't take out the trash then. I mean, if it really is that deep, don't get a divorce. Or hire somebody to do it. I don't like doing dishes. You know, whatever it takes. And when she said that, it changed my life. It changed my life. In tears that day, and today, I'm reaping that in joy.
Yeah.
Because I heard that thing that day. And so I did. I chose to release the baggage of our past. And I refused to bring it into my marriage. And a divorce is not an option.
It's not, we don't
talk
we never
divorce.
talked about that.
We don't even, and when she said
We
that,
don't
I went
threaten
home.
it. We don't, that D word never comes
Not
in
to
our,
come up. It's not even
never,
an option.
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
it's just, it just isn't. And you know, when we did our 25-year, we renewed our vows, and that's one of the things I said, that I loved him, and I decided to go with it. I loved him like when I met him. When I first saw him, I felt like, you know, I was just like, oh my God, this man. And so I do believe in love at first sight. I felt that that's the way it was with us. And then I decided to go with it. So then I loved him intentionally. You know, through ups and downs, it's still intentional.
She's a hopeless romantic too.
I would never think of myself like that. You know
Love
what
at
I'm saying?
first sight. She's
You
a
know.
hopeless romantic too.
I would, you know.
I love it.
So we said something here, and Coach, thank you for what you said. Is that healthy people have healthy relationships? So healthy people have healthy relationships. So if you don't feel that you're emotionally healthy, then work on that part of yourself. Because it's going to make you a great partner at the end of the day. All right. And so if there's nothing else about this, all right, I'll say, you know, we are what now, and it's your move.
Yes, it's your move.
See you soon.
Bye.
To that.